I put it near me. Okay, there we go. You can tell I haven't streamed for a week because I've forgotten that I even need to attach the microphone. Okay, so we'll just give it a couple of minutes for other people to join. As you can see, I have done a few things off camera, which I'll go through in a second. But we'll start off the stream with, you know, the normal streamery thing and say thank you to the sponsors for this build, and that's Fysetc to start with, who were kind enough to send their Trident kit for me to build. The only choice I had on what got sent was the color of the frame and the size. So, no, it wasn't a hand-picked kit or anything like that, and what you've seen me build and go through is what it actually is like, the actual build experience. Next person I would like to thank is PrintyPlease. PrintyPlease is a vendor in the Voron Discord server, and he kindly provided the filament for this build. So this is cat yarn. So it's a lot of the products that PrintyPlease, their own products, are sort of cat related. So this is called cat yarn. This is a grey, and I can't pronounce the name of the filament. It's like nebula. No. So it begins with an N, grey, and then Cheshire cat purple, which you can see a little bit of here. I'll show you. This is the purple. I really like the purple, and this is a sparkly ABS. Really nice filament, prints really nicely, and I will definitely be buying some in the future. And then the last people to thank is BigTreeTech. So, although I was provided this kit and the kit comes with everything you need to build the printer, I have done a few things separately and differently in this build, just because I had some hardware and I wanted to go to CAN as well. So I already had a BigTreeTech Octopus board. I had a SB2209 CAN set up with the U2C board as well, and BigTreeTech were kind enough to provide a TFT 50, which we'll see possibly today, but definitely in the next stream. Hello Bigger Fish, nice to see you here. And then so links to all of the people I've just mentioned, Fysetc, PrintyPlease, BigTreeTech, all down in the description. Take and have a look. There's some affiliate links just to help me out a little bit, but absolutely not necessary to use those. Just search for whoever and you'll find them. So let's sort of recap where we are. So the end of the last stream, which wasn't last week but the week before, I think I'd basically got the bed on, wired in some form. So I'm using Wagos for all of the bed connections, and then some JST XH connectors for thermistor. We then did a little bit of work on Stealth Burner. I don't think, basically where we ended the stream with Stealth Burner is that I was sort of playing around a little bit with the gears I was going to use. So let me see if I can find the things I'm talking about. So I also, yeah, so this is what I was going to talk about. So I had these sent to me previously through something else, through another reason. And these are some helical gears, and they're sort of the same form factor, if you like, as the let me just switch over to this camera and you can probably see it a little bit better. So they're the same sort of form factor as the Bondtech gears. Now, I really wanted to use these just because I needed an excuse to use them, and I wanted to see what the helical gears, they offered anything differently. Unfortunately, they just don't fit properly in the stealth burner, and I think the reason, I don't think they're meant for stealth burner is what I'm trying to say. They are advertised as being Prusa extruder replacements, so I think just the geometry around the extruder just means they don't fit properly. And I was also having problems with this particular gear, which again, so this is a Fysetc product, and so is this. Now if you look, so basically the one that came with the kit had, again, let's go over to this other camera. So the one that came in the kit, let me move this so you can perhaps get a bit better light on the situation. So the one that came in the kit had a little shoulder at here. And that was enough just to sort of keep the gear itself away from the edge of the printed part. And so a combination of basically this and these gears just didn't work right in the stealth burner. And what I mean by didn't work right, it just didn't, for some reason I could feel like a little bit of rubbing and resistance. So I didn't want to proceed with leaving them in there. So what I basically did sort of off camera is basically put in the parts that came in the kit, and although the kit was originally for an afterburner, those parts fit in stealth burner too. So parts that are in the stealth burner now are the parts that came in the kit. The motor obviously is a separate thing from the kit, and that's also a Fysetc kit, a Fysetc motor. So we're keeping with Fysetc motors in everything, and that will be a good way of sort of just testing the motors from Fysetc themselves. What else? So what I've also done, which I'll probably move this around at some point and you'll see, but the stealth burner, sorry, the SB2209 board is also fitted, and I've got a couple of wires going into that, and obviously the fans are all in the front, so that's sort of done-ish. I suppose the biggest thing from the previous stream is the fact that I've basically put a lot of the electronics in. Now, I've said this in a video before, and I'll probably said it on stream before, the way I work, that I'm not good at doing like structured things. Like, so this is my workshop out in the garage, and I come out here and just do things as I feel and when I want to do them. So I didn't particularly feel like streaming last week, but I still wanted to do some stuff, so I did do this. So I've got this camera set up just to show you everything, and we'll go through what's in here. There's still stuff to be done, but yeah, I just wanted to sort of do something anyway. So so what I've done, the first thing I did was to actually put the cables from the, if I move that out of the way, actually, where should I put that? We'll just put that there. So you should be able to see cable chain. So the cable chain and all the wires are connected and secured, and everything should be good. Those wires then come into here. So because we're deviating a little bit from what is included in the kit, and perhaps how the manual would tell us to do stuff, I've wired things how I want to do them, with cables coloured for my region. So we use brown, blue, and then yellow, green for our wiring. So yellow, green, earth, blue, neutral, live, brown. So I followed that colour scheme with all of the mains wiring, rather than using what the kit came with, which is red, blue and yellow. I've just done that. So if I get this camera, so apologise if this is a little bit shaky or whatever. So again, because we're using Wagos, we can sort of put everything in these connectors and everything is sort of secure over here. We're also using the filtered inlet. Now I should say that the mains is not plugged in at the moment, that's why I'm over here. Once anything's plugged in or mains is going to this, I will not go anywhere near it. So you should be very careful with anything like you're doing any sort of wiring. So yeah, so what I've also done is, so basically we've got our SSR, which again, this is not the one from the kit. There's nothing wrong with the one from the kit, but these are Voron spec, well, they used to be Voron spec SSR filtered inlets, and I got those, so I wanted to use them. We've got our 5-volt power supply. Now this isn't going to be used to power the Pi, so the Pi is going to be through this cable going to be powered by the Octopus, but we're not doing UART. We will be connected via USB. I'm just waiting for a couple of short USB cables to arrive. So this 5-volt power supply is going to be used for LEDs. We're going to be connecting approximately 32 RGB LEDs. And they'll be powered via the 5-volt power supply. Then got our 24-volt 200-watt power supply. So again, color-coded wires to my region. Now I think there is a cover for this in the packaging somewhere. I'm gonna have to have a look for that. I'm fairly sure there was. So we then move over to the Raspberry Pi, to the Octopus. I just want to show you that because we're going to wire our things up slightly differently, we've actually got 2 sets of wires coming from the power supply, and they are providing power to the board and then power to the motors. And if you were wiring this from most diagrams, they would have you sort of jumper wires to this connector, which is bed power, and then this one is bed out. But we're going to do it slightly differently, so we haven't used any of those. So we've just got 2 sets of wires coming from the power supply over here, and then this 3rd set of wires, a red and a black, then comes down to this set of Wagos, which are going to be basically a separate way to connect 24 volts. So we're going to need that for our CAN receiver, which is this, the U2C board. And then at some point I will also get a board that will power the Raspberry Pi from a 24-volt input, but it will have a converter and have a fan on and stuff like that. So that's there, 1 for this and 2 for future expansion. So if we go back to the the Octopus board, the only things so the reason we're not going to be using the power in and power out connectors is that we're actually going to be using one of the heater outputs as our control signal for our SSR. So there's no reason to wire those separate wires and use this output when we can just use something else, because this is a low voltage trigger to trigger our AC bed. So that's what I'm doing there. And then the other connector is, so the next 2 connectors here, we've got our electronics fans on the side. See? These are basically using this connector here, we've got two fans into one, comes out and then goes into here. And then also in the last week or so, I've printed the Nevermore V6, and this has got our fans in, and these are actually 12-volt fans because that's basically all I had, GDS timed 12-volt fans. Luckily on the Raspberry Pi, on the Octopus board, we can, whoops, if I can get it in the right place, we can select voltages for our fans. So that's basically all I've done. I've just selected 12-volt for these two fans, and then they go off to Nevermore. So that's basically where we're at in terms of wiring at the moment. Sort of another reason why I didn't do this on stream is because this mains wiring particularly is something you need to not follow a video of someone doing it. You need to understand how it works, what you're doing, being very careful, etc. So during the process of doing this, basically before I'd put anything else in here, I'd wired up the socket and the switch and then tested it. So I knew that voltage was coming out of the socket with the switch acting as the switch. And that was with the things in the Wagos. Now the one thing I would say, and I am going to point it out, is you might be able to see that my connectors on the socket itself and the switch currently are not insulated. That will be changed. I didn't have any insulated connectors when I was doing it, so what I'm going to do is go back and just basically put heat shrink over those. Now as I said, when this gets plugged in, I won't be anywhere near here, right? So there'd be no risk of me getting electrocuted because I'm not going to go anywhere near it, but for safety I will still insulate those connectors. What I've also done, rather than using well, they are separate wires, but what I mean is this is like an old kettle lead that we would normally have for powering our printers, and I just cut it up into sections and left most of it still insulated, and then just exposed it at the ends to get out our separate wires. This just makes it a little bit neater, and for me makes it easier to understand that all of the wires coming out of this particular thing are for something together, because it can get quite confusing when you've got all these separate wires what they're doing. And having Wagos is really good as well, because you can visually see, like, I've got all the earth in one, all of the live, all of the neutral in another, so they're all separated out, so it makes it really easy. I guess the one thing I'm not too happy with at the moment is the bed for Mr. Lead. I haven't made it really that much shorter than it should have been, and I'm not sure if I like the fact that it's sort of just coming from here over stuff. I'm not sure how I'm going to handle that at the moment. I may extend it and go sort of a longer route. I don't know, haven't decided yet. But that's basically where we are today. And what I thought I would do is just get maybe the motors wired in and connected, and then we're going to have a look at putting some panels on. And the reason for that is because the back panel is going to have basically the filament is going to come. Let me go back to the main camera so you can see what I'm talking about. So here will be where the filament comes in. So this is the front of the printer, and I want to get that in place, and perhaps the PTFE tube in as well, to help me judge how I'm going to route the CAN bus, and there's going to be a USB cable also go to the tool head, and I think that will just make it easier. If I've got the back panel in, I can see where things go. So let's start by wiring some motors in, and then we can sort of go from there. You'll probably be best on this camera. So what I have done is got the motors in the sleeving that was provided. Now let's go back to the other camera. These, I haven't shortened these in any way. I may do, we'll see, but for the time being these are full length. And another reason why I tend to do wiring off camera is because it's very, for me, it's a very like a therapeutic thing, and I like to get things nice and neat and how I want them. So yeah. So I'm just gonna have a look at the manual and just to verify what I believe to be true, and that is that so we can sort of go through this and we can see I've done all of this. So what I would say is that the printed DIN rail connectors are, they do work for sure. They sort of need a couple of like uses, plugging them in, unplugging them, plugging them in, just to wear them in a bit. And once they're wore in, they work really well. It's incredibly easy to clip them in. Layout was sort of another thing I wanted to think about and plan around. So we've got our fans on this side going in. So at the moment they will blow across, go over our octopus board and our stepper drivers. And then this one will be blowing directly at our SSR, with then sort of secondary air going over the power supplies. This is an interesting thing I didn't really know until I was watching one of Steve Build's streams the other day, is that the SSR that we have in our printers, like the rating, the hair inside there, the rating is not, let me get this cover back on. Yeah, so the rating is when you are actually heat sinking with a genuine proper heat sink. So because we're basically using a metal mount on a DIN rail, that's not considered correct. And so while the rating of the SSR is still sufficient for what we're using it for, like we're not using it in the correct way, sort of. But anyway, so I thought that was quite an interesting sort of piece of information. If you wish to do it correctly, then you should really have a heatsink on here. But I've done various printers and they've all done it this way, so that should be fine. So let me just move this on. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to go to the Voron docs website. Let me just move this. Because I just want to verify that I'm plugging the right connectors into the right place, basically. Go here, go to here, and then this will tell me which motor is which. If you are building a Voron or plan to, then I cannot stress enough how important it is to read the Voron documentation. It is incredibly useful when doing the setup and anything like that. So basically what I wanted to verify there was that this motor over here, as you can see, is the B motor. So I'm going to plug the cable labeled B motor in. We'll make sure that's seated correctly. And then I'm going to try and give it a little bit of strain relief, although that is quite a sharp bend. Edwin. Hello Edwin, thank you for subscribing. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of a strain relief, and then I've got here the printed cable chain or cable zip tie thingies. So I'm just going to pull this up a touch, maybe move that up. And these can be moved. They just basically twist in to the extrusion. We might not even use all 4, we might use 3. So we want to give it a little bit of strain relief, but it's quite a tight bend, so yeah. Now I'm not too worried about sort of having wires exposed, like as in you can see the colours of the wires when you've got sleeving over them. Doesn't really bother me. The sleeving is really just going to help us keep things together, not necessarily like a protection thing or anything like that. Now, can we get this connector through this hole? Yes, we can. Now, this wire has got to go basically down through past the mains wiring and then towards our control board, like that. So let's and what we'll also be doing, so I printed these need to get a macro or something set up. So I printed these LED mounts and what do they call these? Baffles, I suppose they're called. So these are going to go on the inside, and I plan to print, so I printed 2, I'm going to print another one, and we're going to go down one side and then along the front on the inside obviously, and then on the other side as well. We won't put them on the back, and that way if we're looking from the front we shouldn't have any sort of glare into our eyes or anything. Everything should be pointing down into the printer. So this is also going to be, actually what we'll have to do is have the, now that's interesting, I plan to have the wires come down this way, but I'm not about to do that. So they will have to be on that side, which is fine, and then they'll be wired up to our 5-volt supply and our electronics board. So let's get a cable tie in. So this basically, if I show you on this one, as we took it off, so these printed clips, they're a shape that very much looks like a hammerhead nut, and they twist into the extrusion. Then on the other side they've got small recess for a cable, and then the cable tie goes through the printed part and out the other side. You can then have your cable in the middle, cable tie it up. It's very clever. So we'll put a couple of these in. We'll sort of try and start securing this motor wire. I try and get the cable tie the right way around. We won't do it like super tight at the moment, because we may want to move stuff around, shorten wires, whatever. So we'll just get one in there, secure it, and then sort of visually see how that's going to look. That looks pretty good. Now, because the Trident the gantry is fixed. We are not going to have any motion in this, so it's not going to, we're not going to strain any cables or anything like that. They're not going to go anywhere. And then this end will basically go into our channel down here. I'm just going to take the bed thermistor out just so I can get to the cable chain, the cable duct. So this will basically sit in this channel. What I may do is put a cable tie around that also at some point. And oh, I have got one here. Let me show you one here. So this is the cable duct that we've got on the bottom of the electronics panel. What this basically allows us to do is put our cables in here. You can actually bend these and sort of get your wire into the hole. And then what you do is you'll have this cover that will go onto the cable chain, or the cable ducting, whatever you want to call it. And then you basically just have to, it's a little bit difficult, and it'll probably be even more difficult on the ones that are in the printer. But this basically then goes over the top, clicks in, and then it just makes it all nice and neat. And they obviously came with the kit. They're pretty standard thing to have included in a Voron kit. So we've got that down there, and then this will basically go into this cable chain, cable duct, whatever you want to call it, and plug into one of our steppers. So this is going to be, now let's see what, now because I'm using a different board than the one that's even in the manual, this isn't going to be like a great illustrator of where we have to put things. Go through all of our, so this would want us to put the B motor right down this end of the board, but we're not doing that. What I plan to do is have our A and B motors on the first two drivers, then our 3 Z steppers, and then that's all we're going to plug into here, because our extruder will be on our CAN bus board. So all we're going to be doing is basically plugging this into the first stepper, motor stepper. Whoops. There we go, just like that. And then this we'll cable manage everything a bit later, but we'll worry about that later. And we'll do the other side now as well, just so we can see where things are going to go. And I think I will turn the printer around just so I can do it without sort of going over stuff. And as I said, I will probably do like the fine adjustments of cable management off stream, just because it's easier for me. And this is getting, the printer's getting a nice bit of weight to it now, which doesn't make it easy to turn around or show you anything, but there you go. So how can what I can actually do, so if you don't know if you've actually seen the let me move it this way a bit, just get it out of the, doesn't really help. This is the V6 Nevermore. So this bit is fixed to the extrusion. I actually did, no, I'm not going to disrespect the creators of the Nevermore. It's a very good system, and I've got them on all of my printers. The instructions are terrible. They don't really go into enough detail on how to mount things. Now, it is relatively simple, but I've I don't know if I've made a sort of modification or an unintentional modification, or if it's meant to, but because we have to have this the opposite way round, because of obviously our back panel's going to go here, we don't want this the other way round. So on the other side is actually meant to be a nut trap, but then that would mean you have to screw it in from this side, and that just isn't going to work. So what I actually did, actually I can sort of show you. Let me find the right Allen key. Just the right one. Yep. So mine actually attaches and screws in from this side, and then as you can see here, you have this small part that attaches to the frame. Now I think the intention of this is that you would, well, I'm not really entirely sure what the intention is, because like I say, the instructions aren't that clear. So what I've done is I've drilled these holes out to be, let me see if I can get this so you can actually see. Let me just put that there. There. So I've drilled this hole out to be big enough for an M3 to basically go all the way through it. There's no resistance or anything. And then in this part, I've actually pushed in a heat inset from this side, from the inside. What that basically means is that this then sits on there like that, and then I can screw in where, I can show you on this. Yeah. So this is where you're supposed to put a nut, but what I'm actually just doing is putting the M3 head into that space that goes all the way through, goes into that heat set, and is then basically held in place. And that's like completely secure. Obviously our fans are behind here, they're wired in, they go into the printer. Yeah, the instructions aren't very clear on how you mount things. There's also this printed part which talks about being for, well, it doesn't really describe it very well, but this is meant to be a brace if you're using it on the Trident at the back. Now this can only go at this end if you use it because of the motor mount, but then you have to put wires through this, and I just didn't like it, and I don't think it's that necessary, so I didn't bother with that. So yeah, hopefully it's going to work okay. And this, so yeah, I'll just go over to the main camera, and then this is our, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but this is where we put our Nevermore filter material. Show you one here. And then this is actually a printed door. Very clever. It's not the easiest thing to print, and you have to be very careful about putting it in and out because it will break quite easily. But once you've got it in and you've sort of gone backwards and forwards a few times, it sort of becomes a lot easier. I thought that was really clever. Yeah, I thought that was a really nice touch. And then it's held in with magnets basically, and it just gets held in. It's really nice, really well secure. Back panel will go on there obviously. Yeah, quite happy with that. But what I'll do is I'll just take that off, and then hopefully you can, actually I can probably put you in on the inside. Yeah. So we'll now run our next cable down, which I've got over here. Yeah, here it is. So what I'm actually going to have to think about is, let's take that one out. Where did I put that one? Sort of there, I think. Is that I'm going to want the cables for the LEDs to also come down here, and then they'll come down. Let me see if I can show you. Little unintentional view of everything. Yeah, so we'll have to put so that is where our CAN cable is actually going to come down eventually, down that hole. And what we'll actually have to do is put our LED wires down there as well. And then that will go into our motor, and then down into the printer. So, whoops. Don't normally use this camera, but yeah, works quite well for just trying to get a good view of things is the worst thing about streaming. You don't know how much you want to show, and yeah. So again, we want to sort of try and get a bit of strain relief. I'm going to move this. I'll try and match it the same as that one really, but I haven't really. I think that cable might have actually fallen down. But yeah, so we're going to try and that should be okay, I think. I'm just going to put a temporary zip tie in here, because like I say, I'm going to have to excuse me, wire in those LEDs and etc. But what we can do is sort of just at least get this routed and on its way into the printer. Get that connector through the hole. Trying to do it as sort of neatly as possible is what is the end goal. And you can spend as much or as little time on doing stuff like this. Like I say, I like to do this sort of off camera, and spend quite a bit of time on it. I might even like undo a lot of what I do on camera just so I'm happy with it. So this will then go into that cable run, and then again to our stepper driver. What I probably will end up doing is actually potentially running this braided sleeve higher up into where the cables are going to go, and then I can hide the LED wires as well. Hello Phil. Any reason those cables don't get routed inside the extrusion, i.e. in the groove? There's no reason why you can't. I suppose the question would be sort of how much, depends I guess how much you're putting in this way. This way particularly, we're going to have, because this is a CAN setup where I've got cable chains, and because I will be having a USB cable to the tool head as well, so there's going to be a USB cable, CAN head cable, LED, or once we get to here, LED wires, and then the motor wires. That's quite a lot to put in the groove. If this side perhaps we could do that, because we've only got 4 motor wires. But this is the way it's done in the Voron manual, I believe. But it's definitely something you could do. I don't know if I haven't got it. Have I got it out? Yeah. So I have actually got some. This is actually for. Oh yeah, it does fit. I'll put it on this side, and you can actually see what it looks like. I did use some of this on the 2.4 build to run some cables on the inside. Yeah, there's not like you're right. If you were only doing motor cables, it would work fine. But when you then start to route relatively thick cables, it can become a problem. But yeah, you could certainly do that. Perhaps get some get a different color thing as well. That would look quite good as well. And obviously you have it on the inside. And I used this on my 2.4. The only problem with this and doing it on the 2.4 is because the gantry moves, there's not actually a lot of space. Luckily, this does compress, and I really pushed it into the extrusion so it doesn't actually protrude too much. And so far, I mean, the 2.4 next door has done probably about 1,000 hours. It hasn't been a problem. So, but that is definitely something you could do, is to use something like that. But like I say, it's not. I'm not too worried about. Like, I quite like the look of a more industrial, and you can see the cables type look. I don't want there's no way I could leave it like with just cables like dangling around like that. Like, they will have to be sort of neatened up, but yeah, I'm quite okay with being able to see cable routing and stuff like that. So what I would like to try and do, I think, is to get this back panel on, just so I can see where the PTFE cable is going to come out. So let's have a little tidy up and we can think about doing that. Let me pick this little thing up. I can also show you, so I'm going to be using the Annex Engineering clips, cable door, panel clips, just because the Voron ones are a little bit of a pain to get everything lined up and working correctly. Have a quick drink. I'm going to be using them, and then the doors, I couldn't decide what I wanted to do for the doors. I eventually came across a model on Printables which is for removable doors, like lift-off doors. Now I've slightly modified them myself, and what they do is they use 5mm pins. Now the original, I think the model called for 30mm ones, and I only had 50. But what I've done, and I'll show you them later if we get that far, but what I've done, and this is something that even the creator suggested he would do in a remix, is that one pin is longer. I think the bottom one is longer. So when you come to put the door on, you can line it up and get the top one started, and then the bottom one the bottom one lined up, and then the top one will sit on better. So let's get this back panel, and it's our favourite time. We've got to remove the stuff, what I will do actually is just get some other stuff ready first. So we're going to need, in our printed parts, move this camera out of the way a second. So we're going to need the actual back panel we're going to be using, or the printed part I should say. I might need to put a heat set insert in, I can't remember. And we also need to put foam tape on, so that is something we're going to have to do. So let's spend about an hour trying to get this bloody paper off. And you might have noticed, if you're watching the stream, there's no music today. That's because YouTube has decided to basically, I use an ad blocker, right? Because I watch enough YouTube ads on my TV that I want to block them when using the browser. But it now detects that you've got a ad blocker. So yeah, it was causing a bit of a pain. And then if you disable the ad blocker, you basically get an advert every time you listen to a video, listen to a music video. So we would have ended up just having loads of adverts in the stream, and I didn't really want to bother with that. So I need to look at somewhere to get free music to listen to while on stream. So if anyone has any suggestions, please feel free to make a comment. Yeah, so that's why there's no music. I mean, my channel is not monetized anyway, so it wouldn't, like, the free music that I normally play gets picked up as a copyright strike, or copyright claimed I should say, but because it doesn't really affect the channel, it doesn't matter, or it has no effect on the channel anyway. Bit of ASMR for you. Taking the backing off these panels. And of course that has to be done. You can't leave the backing on, Richard, if you're watching. Yeah, so we'll just continue taking this off. And the only problem with these panels is that they're basically going to attract all the dust and everything, because we're only just creating static, but it is what it is. One thing I have got to decide is what I'm going to do with the deck panel. So I think in the last stream we had talked about I was going to potentially have a look at getting a clear deck panel, which would be pretty cool. And that may happen down the line. I mean, I have got a laser cutter, you might have seen that in a couple of shots, but it's not big enough to cut the whole size panel that we'd need. But I was actually thinking whether we could have, or I could have, a split deck panel, because getting it in to the printer is a little bit of a pain. Now, you're not going to need to take it out that much. So, like, basically the bed would need to be all the way to the top, and you can just about get it in. But I was wondering if a split panel would, basically how it would look. And if I did commit to getting a clear panel made, then it might be something that I could do. I could do it with the panel that comes with the kit, just to see what it looks like. Because I could cut the panel in half with my laser cutter. It's big enough to do that. I think it would just look yeah, I don't know how it would look, that's the problem. What I've also got to decide with the umbilical cable is if I'm going to use, which is another reason why I'm doing the back panel, is to see if the PTFE tube is enough to sort of hold the cable up. And I know, because we're going to be using a BigTreeTech board, the piece that goes on the cable when it's in to hold it in place has got holes for some cable or some like spring steel cable. That's not included, and I would need to get some. I'm just wondering whether if that's what I'm going to do, or if the PTFE tube is enough on its own. Oh, that didn't come off very well. I wonder if heating this up would work as well a little bit. I don't know. And before anyone asks, this is acrylic, not polycarbonate. So make of that what you will. I don't know what the real differences are. I suspect it's I know acrylic can, I mean, I work with a little bit of acrylic with some of the laser cut stuff I do, and I know it can be affected by IPA, and I suspect the potential chemical reaction isn't as good as polycarbonate. I'm not sure. So what I will have to also do once I've got this off is put the foam around the edge. I'll have to have a look in the manual to remind me what thickness the back panel has. And I hope that I've printed the correct Annex Engineering clips off. I have got two different sorts. Some panels use 3mm tape and some use 1mm tape. But I don't think that the Fysetc panels are exactly 3mm. So yeah, we'll see. Very shiny, but we have left a little bit of few spots of backing paper on here. I was also debating whether I was going to try and engrave or etch any sort of design into the panels, or maybe some vinyl. I haven't decided yet. Yeah, I haven't decided. If it was going to be anything, it would probably just be a Voron logo, or yeah, basically just a Voron logo. I have got a it's not, I wouldn't say it's a vinyl cutter, but it's a plotter is supposed to be probably the better way to describe it. I have done a few things with in the past. So right, so that panel will basically go like that. So let's find out what foam tape we need. Back panel. Electronic stuff. Okay. Back panel. 1mm foam tape. So I have got a couple of sources for that. How much are we going to need? That is the question. Got some in here. It's the 1mm. Or I might use this, because then this will match what I have more of. So I think that came with my 2.4. So this is all 1mm stuff. Get a pair of scissors to cut that. So I assume this is E on one side. Yeah. So that's, I think that was what came with the kit. And then this is some other stuff I've got. So back panel does have 1mm tape, and basically what we have to do is go round the entire outside edge. I'm just wondering what is going to be the best place to do that. Probably just going to make do with what I've got here, this space. And I also tend to do it in sections. So like do that, cut that off there, and then do a straight edge. I think that will probably be the best way to do it. So let's scissors. Now let's see how this fits in also actually. So this will be, let me think. So this panel's going to go this way round. Going to go that way round. And then this will go, this is actually like a sandwich of parts. I might have to look up this is from Printables. I think that bit will fit in there. Will go basically, yeah. This bit will go in the middle, but still on this side. And then this will be on the outside. We've got our filament path in, and then we have like a grate that will go on the inside. Something like that. I think we can do it after we've got the panel on though. So let's try and put some tape on. I'm going to do it in small sections. What I was just checking there actually was whether the foam tape has to go around this cut out piece, but I don't think it does. This will go down here. It would probably be easier to do this on a flat surface, but we'll just make do with what we've got for now. That'll make it to the bin. Okay. If we have to trim this, we can trim it as we go. We can trim it afterwards. So that's one piece. Not the most riveting part of the build, but it has to be done. This is where we would be helpful to have some music, but YouTube is being YouTube. Okay. So what I do is sort of basically butt it up against the part we've just put on, not overlapping or anything like that. We'll probably do this part in smaller sections rather than try and do the whole long length in one go. And the reason we sort of have, I'm assuming the reason for the foam tape is to basically help insulate the inside of the chamber, because there's no active heating of the chamber. We want to basically be as efficient as we can with the heat that we've got. So the heat is basically going to come off our heated bed, our hot end, etc. And also the Nevermore can help with actually getting heat around. Try and cut this bit off. The Nevermore will push the heat around as well, so yeah, the static is basically picking up all of the the small little hairs and everything, so this is not going to look pretty, but eventually we'll clean it up and everything, so it'll look fine. So it doesn't take too long to sort of put the foam tape on. It's just a little bit of a fiddly job, especially if you've not got a flat surface to do it on. Like if you're trying to do it standing up and on a live stream, but we'll make do. always seems to come out a little bit longer than what I measure it, but God's law, if I was to do it shorter, it would then come out too short. And we've got plenty of it, so it's not too much of an issue. So I was thinking the other day what printer I was going to do next. Now, obviously, I don't have a lot of space in here, particularly for printers of this size. So what I was thinking, and this was actually the word helped by the fact that someone in the Vector 3D Discord server posted a link to I don't think it's an official printers for ants printer, but it's a little switch wire. And because I'm trying to sort of get one of each Voron, I thought that was probably going to be the next printer I try and do. And what I would do is convert one of my V0s, because I've got 3 of them. So yeah, I thought I would convert one of them. Probably the first one, because it's not a an R1, or it's not even a 0.2, it's a 0.1. So yeah, that might be the next thing I do, but we'll see. I actually think we do need to potentially go round the gap, because if we had the filter on, the Voron filter, I think that has foam tape around it as well. I'll just get this bit on and we'll have a think. Okay, let's try and trim this little bit off. There we go. So, if this was then I think I will put foam tape. Actually, it's not really going to matter, is it? No. That should be fine. So this will then go on here. All these bits are, have to try and get those off at some point. But what we'll need is our annex clips. And these are basically so you don't use any tools, they're printed parts. So I've done, you probably can't see that, but I've got 3+1 and 3+3, and that means a panel thickness of 3mm and then 1mm tape, which is exactly what we've got here. what I'm going to do is trying to secure this so that I can sort of hold it in place. Shall I move? What I might do is move the print around so the back is facing me. I think we can probably use one clip down the bottom just to help us basically. So I've never used these clips, so I'm not entirely sure how easy they are to work with, but we'll see, I guess. Now what I try and get it sort of in the middle, so to go about there, I think. Oops. So we've just got one down the bottom just to hold it while I think I've got one prepared already. Let's put one on this bottom corner. Yeah, so they're a lot easier to use. I'm not entirely sure if because I don't think these panels are quite the right thickness. We might have to actually like double up on the foam tape. So I don't think they're really doing much for us. Let's get another one in. Hello there, welcome to the stream. So let me try to think how these go. I think you just basically push them through the printed part like that. Yeah, so I would say you might have to double up on the, particularly the 1mm foam, because they're not really, we can, if we sort of, no, that's not really going to work either. Put another one on. Costas. Oops. Oh. I do like the idea of these clips, and potentially there are clips the right size for our panels. Yeah, that's not really going to work. So rather than print new panel clips, I think I'm going to double up the foam tape and we'll just see what that does. Now we've got some of these ready, we'll be able to do it a lot easier, I think. I think it's basically because the panels are like 2.5mm and not 3, so they're not quite the right size. And what we might be able to do actually is overlap our joints, and we might get a better seal anyway. We'll do this side first. So let's get some more foam tape going. Okay, we'll do that so we don't. Okay, so I'm going to put basically a bit of foam tape over the top of a bit of foam tape and hope that that helps with just making the panel a little bit thicker. What I might do in a second, once I've done this one, is I'll just have a look and grab the GitHub link for the panel clips. If anyone's interested. Because this tape will sort of compress anyway. So whenever you can, please zoom in on those 3D printer parts, joints. They seem amazing. Which are you talking about? These? Talking about them? Just bear with me a second. A bit more foam tape on. Yes, okay. Let me see if I can. What I'll do, first thing I'll do is I'll get the, see if I can get the link for them. They're not that easy to find. They're not where you'd think they would be. Those ones. Right there for 50. There's this one. Yes. Okay, let's grab that link. Yeah. Hey Richard. Where are this YouTube and putting this bloody thing on? That should be the Annex Engineering clips that I've got here. Where are we at with the build? Right. For those joining late, Richard, I've done a lot of stuff off camera. Obviously I didn't stream last week, so I've got a lot of the electronics in. I've done the, basically done the mains. Let's move that panel out of the way, be a bit more light. Done the mains wiring, filtered inlet. We've got our 5-volt power supply, 24-volt power supply, Octopus, U2C, Pi. I've got some Wagos for some power distribution, and that's basically sort of where I am. no problem, Richard. I was joking. And I've also done the cable chain for the bed wiring, and done a few things on Stealth Burner, but we're at basically in the process of putting the back panel on because I want to see where the PTFE tube goes. That makes sense for how I'm then going to do the CAN wiring cable, because I'm not entirely sure at the moment if I'm going to use any sort of support wire or if I'm just going to run it along the PTFE tube. Yeah, so the CAN and the USB cable. So actually it's handy you're here because I'm going to ask you a question. I haven't actually mounted the photographer yet, but on, I don't know if I'll see if I can get the camera so you can actually see what I'm talking about when I'm talking about it. Hang on a second. No, that's not going to work. So, oops. You can see on the purple part, along PTFE would work. I think that would be better. Even better if you had any cable sleeving you could put on it. Shielding is the right name. Sleeving or sheathing, yeah. That purple part that is on the carriage that's connected to the rail, that has some holes in it. So basically my question is, what is the correct way to route the USB cable when it's plugged into the cartographer? I'm assuming that we use like the holes on the printed part to route the cable round through. I'm not sure how to describe it. It's easier actually. Let me get. Yes, yeah. So if you imagine this is the, let me zoom in and focus. Right. Yeah. So if you assume that this is the rail, and then so we can basically come through this hole and out and up. We can use that hole to route the USB cable. Which I haven't, like, I've not prepared that USB cable at all yet. I'm just sort of thinking how I'm going to do it. But I have got some nylon cable sleeving, which I had planned after sort of a comment you had made on a previous stream. So I'm going to basically put the CAN cable and the USB cable together, sleeve them. The competition says that you shouldn't route it that way, but I did tests without, and there was literally no impact. Perhaps I better call this fucking little heart. Oh, oh, that's broken. Never mind. Yeah. Could do it on there as well. Well, that is unfortunate. on. I'm not going to log in. Okay, for some reason chat is not working, so we're not going to bother with it. Just bear with me a second, guys, while I try and get the chat overlay back. What was I saying? Oh yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to put the two cables together and then route those along the PTF. So the PTFE2 will be outside of that. I wasn't entirely sure if I needed to get the spring steel metal. I kind of wanted to, but the problem with the Trident is the way it's because it's right at the top. The let's see if I fixed it. For some reason it's being a pain. I wonder if the stream got disconnected and it's no, I don't know. Okay, well I'm taking it off. For some reason it's being a pain. So we're not going to have. I'm not going to have. I'll have the other window up. So I have got the chat. So if you do need to type anything, let me know. I've forgotten what I was going to say now. Yeah, so I'm going to sleeve the cables basically, and then run them along the PTFE tube. I think will probably be the best way of doing it. So yeah, I haven't bought any of that spring steel yet because I wasn't sure. I was going to wait until I tried it on just the PTFE tube and see how it looks. What I don't want is it to be all sort of droopy and getting in the way. I can definitely say that I'll be doing the other panels, or at least the preparation for the other panels off stream, because this is a bit of a pain to do. There we go. So I've actually got the YouTube, what do they call it? Studio page open. That's how I'm able to read the chat, but it's delayed. So I'm seeing what I've already done. Right, the last couple of bits for this foam tape. for the second time. Hopefully that will mean that our panel clips do actually work a little bit better. If they don't, I will probably, yeah, gotta love YouTube. Although there is a delay, so what I don't know if what you're typing in chat is responding to the fact that the login page has come up on the chat. I've not had this problem before. I haven't done anything differently, so I think it's just being a pain. Stop. What's the matter? On the groove, steel goes on the outside rather than inside. Huh? This panel will go around the other way. Go like that. Is that what you mean? This, so I think, yeah, so we're gonna go, well, let me just finish this. I think foam goes on the outside of the part. I'm not sure if this part has to have any foam on. But let me just get this on. We should be good. So this will go around here like this. We'll try and get one of those clips in again. This one. Whoop. Yeah, that's better. So just using that extra layer of foam tape has helped with all the basically it's not knocking anymore. Let's get this one on. I do like these clips, they are quite cool. Like that. Send me a pic on Discord. I haven't actually got it open. But oh right. So that's That's the inside. Could have a look at these other pictures while I'm here. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Right, just got to do one more. So the problem is these panels are not quite 3mm. Now there probably are actually panel clips on the repo where these came from for different size, like for a probably 4 or 2.5mm thing, but I printed the 3mm ones before I checked what the correct size was. So I think this will go up here. No, we'll have this bit first. So this basically will sit on the inside like that. This hole is slightly bigger, but I need to get some hardware out. Does that make sense now, Richard? I've got it right, haven't I? I think. To be fair, this foam tape is a little wide, so you can actually see the foam tape from the inside, which I'm not overly happy about, but it is what it is. You have to try and get this crap off hardware. That's what I've done. Let me bring up the page for the thing I'm about to show. So in the description should be a link to my printables Voron collection. So rather than me having to get individual links out if I forget, yeah, you can basically just go on there and you'll find them. Like if I forget to put them in the description, but what I'll do is have that I can post them during the chat. This is the thing that I'm putting on now. Trying to find out what hardware I need. Doesn't really make sense. Not really telling me. The manual should. M5 by 10. So let's get the have I got any M510s? I've got two. So they'll go through there and through there into a T-nut. a couple of them. This way. Try and hold this roughly in the right spot. So these will go this all sort of basically gets sandwiched together at some point. I just need to work out, go that way or does it go way? What does goes down? Oh, so I need some inserts in these as well. Okay, so we need to put some inserts in, so let's get them out. Back to so let's get the soldering iron. Get the VLMP out. Where am I going to plug it in? We'll plug it in here. So I need to put in so I basically need to put in inserts in here and also in this little thing, and I'll show you what this bit is for in a second. That's heating up, so I've got 3 inserts out. There's one here, over here, and then one in here. Actually, so we'll have, I think we'll have another panel clip on there and there as well, actually. Let me get this in the middle. So roughly there. Okay. Let's see if this is warm enough now. Okay. Make sure I could go down far enough. Now, I have not put the soldering iron back correctly because I did use it out of the LMP. Be better now. So they'll be from the other side. We'll just put this one on. fine. So plug this, and I'll just put this on the floor out of the way. So let's do these other two clips first, actually, so that the panel's on where it needs to be. I assume we have one on each side. So they just clip in there. For the time being, I'll just stick it anywhere, but know that I will come back and make sure it's actually in the middle. Yeah, that's really good actually, with that extra bit of foam tape. So then this part will go here, and this will go on. Like that. So let me find the right size. Yeah, that's really good actually. So then this part, I've forgotten which way around this. The bottom. Oh. Okay, so we won't use that camera. But you can see we've got the rear part on, and what we also have is the filament tube holder. I think that goes on there. But we won't put that on just yet. I need to find out the correct hardware for this part. So that basically goes in up there, and those holes line up quite well. Let me see if I can move this around for you a bit. Definitely getting a bit on the hefty side. Let's pick this foam tape up so I don't stand on it. I'll try and zoom in a bit for you. So you should be able to see this part is the inside of where we just were. And I need to work out basically which size screw we want. So let's have a look. Do we think that will be too big? Hello Binny, nice to see you. Okay, that's probably going to be way too long. Way too long. I love that one. That Trident's looking sweet. Thank you very much. It's sort of a slowish progress because we're doing it on stream and stuff like that, but I think that might be too long as well. Hey Adam, nice to see you. It's coming along okay, a little bit slow, but yeah, we've got let me put this camera on for you. So I've got a little bit of an issue with the chat at the moment that wanted me to sign back in, but we've got some electronics in, got the Nevermore, we've got the back panel on just so I can basically, oh, the live chat on that window is working for some reason, but I can hardly read it, so we'll back working now. If I refresh. So go back to that screen. Yeah, but we're going good. So what I'm basically trying to do now is just to put this rear cover on. And let me get a screwdriver. Not sure if that is actually long enough. So we might need, we'll put a 12 in just to see. But this feels like it's too long. I hate not being able to see the cats. This window up for me. You might better hear my next door neighbours revving their engine. I think one of them's got a new car recently, so they're deciding to rev it up. So I think the 12s are too long, 8s are too short. So you'd probably want a 10mm. Oh, you can actually hear it, can you? Well, there you go. Is that quite? Is that lining up? Can't quite see if. Let me undo this one a bit. It gives us a bit of lateral movement. Yeah, the pictures are, the delay that I'm seeing is quite significant, so there we go. I'll probably get some shorter bolts for those. And then also we need a this actually goes into this hole here. Oops. And then we screw this in from the back. And then this is where our PTFE tube will be. Put it through the hole first. There we go. Might even need to be a shorter screw. We'll see. So that will be our PTFE tube route. I think I'll just going to make sure it all lines up. It does, like that. So this will basically be our route for the PTFE tube. So excuse me. The chat is a long way behind where I am. Or sorry, not the chat. The view from YouTube. So zoom out just a touch. You can see got that small piece of PTFE tube just as a indicator to see where that's going to go. That's our rear panel on with the annex clips, which I really like actually. They make that so much easier to do. We've got our rear cover for our, where we would have had a filter, but because we're not going to be using the filter, we're basically not using that. So we've got this cover over it. Yeah. And then a PTFE tube will go in there. Let me see if I've got that PTFE tube. So this is the stuff that comes with the kit. So we've got a smallish piece, which is probably like 2mm by 4. So that's basically for our hot end bit, really. Then we've got this bit, which is, I guess, and this is 3 by 4. And this is going to be our PTFE tube that we use to route the filament through. It's a bit curled up at the moment because it's been in the bag, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop that out, because like that view. There we go. So I can see the live view and the chat. It is looking really good. So chances are I'm going to do some stuff off camera. Now, basically what I sort of have realised to myself is that I don't really want to do this as like a tutorial as such. Maybe tutorial's the wrong word. This is me really just sharing my build. So it's not necessarily going to be a build series in which you can follow along. So there may be stuff I do off camera just because it's easier for me to do it off camera. Actually, as you're here, Richard, I can run my idea past you. I was thinking, so I know we talked about having a clear deck panel, which is a good idea. But what annoys me about the deck panel is getting it in and out. So I was thinking of having a split bottom panel. So what I was probably going to do is take the panel that comes with the kit and use my laser cutter to cut it in half and have two panels. And then depending on how well that looked, either keep it or then get two clear panels. The problem is obviously the bed has to be at the very top, or has to be, you know, yeah, if the bed's hot, it's just a bit fiddly, I think, to get it in and out. Like, so I think I saw you posted a video showing someone, and yeah, if the bed's at the top, it's not as hard, it's not as difficult to do, but it just looked as if it was a bit, and I've only done it a couple of times just to see how it looked, but it seemed a bit fiddly to get in. Like, you didn't have a lot of room to get it in. And I was just thinking of maybe having like a split excuse me, split panel, but I'm not entirely sure. It is tight, yeah. I don't know if you saw that I've printed some, they call them baffles or whatever they're called, LED baffles. So I'm going to have 3 strips of LEDs at the top as well. I need to print another one of those. But yeah, so I'm still sort of debating whether I'm going to do that split panel. The fuses, yeah. But they're not, I suppose they're not really going to be diffusers as such. But they're not going to diffuse anything, but they're just going to be RGB LEDs on a you know, like the flexible strip. And they will probably end up going down this, or finishing in this corner, and then I'll put them down the same area as the umbilical cable. So yeah, shall we, I think we should probably try and put the top panel on. I think, what thickness foam does the top panel have? Back panel. Yeah. So just looking at the manual, this is the 300. Oh. I will bring you some PCB ones at Smurf. Got like 30 strips fabbed. I have no use for that. What do you mean you've got no use for 30? Having 30 means everything can have RGB LEDs in. Is yours a 300 or a 350? I think I could have chosen to have a 350 if I wanted, but yeah, I didn't, because I had the 300. 350. I got 6. I don't have enough 5-volt amperage. That's another thing I was going to ask actually. I need to. I'm only going to use the 5 volts. How do I word this? Basically, I've got to go ground from the 5-volt power supply to ground of the 24-volt supply as well, haven't I? Even if I only take 5-volt into the LEDs and use the ground and the signal from the octopus, I still need to share the ground, I think. Which is going to be simple. It's just going to be literally running a cable from there to there, but I haven't done that yet. Oh yeah, I was going to look at the. Keep sort of going off track. You can think the ground from points of, yeah. Should do that as better practice anyway. Yeah. Yeah, I will be doing that then. I was thinking of having another set of the Wagos where I've got the Wagos for the 24-volt distribution. I was thinking of having another couple of 5-volt, but I don't think, like, I don't know how much 5-volt stuff I'll actually be plugging in. So I don't think it's worth it. I think I don't really need that. I just need the 5-volt for the LEDs, because the Pi is going to be powered from the octopus for the moment, and then eventually we'll hopefully get, when Adam releases his ElectroPi, we'll have the ElectroPi that goes on top of the Pi, and that can be powered from 24-volt. So it's only the LEDs that were going to be those. So that got me 2 motors down here. Could also be putting the other motor cables in, I guess. We don't need this E one. I think I'm just going to use this piece of stuff for the one. This is really just to keep it neat. It's literally only going from there to there. I might put the bed thermistor in this little bundle as well, but I'm not entirely sure. What I was going to say about the panels, actually, because that's what I was going to be doing. Looking at the instructions, they want you to put foam tape on the extrusion. I'm not sure if I want to do that. So I would probably put it on the panel, but I'm not sure how easy that's going to be. Shouldn't be too difficult, especially with the panel clips, because I can just put the panel on, see where it lines up, mark the panel some way, and then it's easier to take it on and off. This one goes this way round. So this is going to go under the power cables. Or actually, I don't know if I like that. I might sleeve this cable something else. What brand is the SSR? So this is not the one that came in the kit. This is a TE one. It was the same as the filtered inlet. Someone told me to connect the frame and SSR with ground. Do you mean earth? You don't want to put a ground on it. But the interesting thing is that the power supply, yeah, so the power supply actually grounds itself. The frame of the power supply is grounded, or earthed, I should say, sorry, is earthed. And when you then attach it to the DIN rail, no, sorry, basically, yeah, it is, everything is earthed basically. So let me see if I can show you on the picture. Oh, I've got that camera up. So yeah, we've got earth on our SSR, which goes into our earth Wagos here. We've got our bed earth, we've got this power supply earth, this power supply earth, and then obviously this earth from the switch. So yeah, everything is earth. Actually, I can show you, Richard. That's the SSR. So that's, I think that was the original Voron spec SSR. I think, because I got that and the filtered inlet and the switch from TE. I don't know if it's, they used to be called Texas Instruments, I think, but I think they just go by TE now. So the only thing that isn't earthed, and probably won't be, is the frame, because the frame is anodized, and even if I earthed this part of the frame, that wouldn't necessarily mean that this part or this part or this part or this part would be. So I'm not putting an earth onto the frame. That, now you can do that, like there's nothing to say you can't, but unless you're going to check that the earth gets connected through the entire frame, there isn't really much point. So that's something you'd have to check if you want to do that. Excuse me. What was I doing? I can't remember. yeah, we were talking about a few different things there, weren't we? What I'm probably going to do, I've got like here. And this one's too long, but this is the sort of go back to the main cam. This is the sort of sleeving we were talking about, I think, Richard, for the umbilical. Like the nylon stuff. Focus this. The stretchy nylon stuff. We did you actually do get some of that with the kit. It's quite thick, wide stuff. It's probably too real. This, they sort of intend you to put this in the cable chains, but not really a good idea. Hello, Steve. Good morning to you. Good morning, good evening, good night. So yeah, so we'll probably use the nylon cable sleeve. 10 o'clock for Richard, 3 o'clock for me, and morning for Steve. Yeah. So what I might actually do is sleeve the axis motor cables rather than use the stuff that it comes in the kit, because it's a little bit too thick for my liking. So I might sleeve it in the braided sleeve. Almost 7:30 a.m. Yeah. So oh yeah, let's do the top panel. I knew we were doing something. What I'm planning to do, I think, is that's 1mm tape as well, so we'll probably have to put 2 layers of tape on for the top. I would like to do some firmware stuff on stream, because I think it would be good to show the process of setting up CAN. That will probably mean that I need to do that process myself first, rather than doing it, reading it, and doing it at the same time. And I've watched a couple of videos of other people doing it and read various documents, but I will probably do it and then talk you through doing it, if that makes sense. So we're going to put the top panel on, aren't we? Let's move some panels out of the way. I think that's the top panel. Yeah, must be. Oh yeah, Nick. Canvas is tough. From what I've seen, it looks relatively straightforward, providing, I think the problem is the firmware can be a little bit tricky if not all of your devices will talk to each other correctly. There's a lot of sun coming through that thing at the moment, isn't there? Yeah, I think it will work okay. I think it can be relatively simple to do. I think it's just a matter of getting everything to talk nicely. Yeah, it's flashing the firmware. So from what I've seen, you basically, so at the moment I have actually, not including CAN, at the moment Clipper is sort of set up on these two devices, because I was filming a video which I haven't finished yet, but so Clipper is currently installed, and I think basically all you've got to do is you kind of have to flash things twice. So you flash it with CAN boot, and then you flash it again with Clipper. I think it's sort of basically what it is. But like I say, I've only really watched a couple of videos and read a few things, so I need to do it myself to see how it best works for me. And I think it also helps potentially if you're using like hardware from all the same manufacturer, which is what I will be doing. That's not to say it shouldn't work if you were using like Fysetc and BigTreeTech, or Mellow and Fysetc and whatever. That lets you reflash the tool headboard over CAN bus. Yeah. But what you have to do is, from what I've seen, so the first thing we'll do is we'll flash, we'll get the Pi ready to be on a CAN network. Then we will flash the U2C with firmware. But I'm fairly sure you do have to flash, say, the Octopus board twice. Yeah, it should. That's correct, Richard. The video I was watching said that some of them came with bad firmware, so it's basically a good idea to potentially flash it with this fixed firmware so that you know it's working correctly. And bearing in mind that I've had the hardware for a little while, it could be out of date anyway. Yeah. So you do, yeah. Okay, Richard, see in a bit. So you would flash it twice. You flash it with CAN boot, and then, or because they've renamed it, yeah. And then you flash it again. Trying to get this off in one piece, but it's ripped. Another bit of ASMR for you. But yeah, so firmware I'd like to try and do as a separate, or not as a separate video, as a stream. So what I may do, as I was saying earlier, I don't see myself as someone who's good at doing like follow along process type streams, because I like to do stuff my own way. Like I could spend the whole day wiring, because I want to know where everything goes and what it does, and be happy with the connectors and stuff like that. So the plan might be, I think, wherever we get to today, I will then basically get us to the step of doing firmware in between streams, because yeah, I just want to get it done now. Really, I want to start printing on it, and doing nothing for a week until the next stream is quite difficult for me. Like, I'll come out here and I kind of want to do something, so I think I will do a lot more off camera just to get us where we are, to get us going. Hello Collie, nice to see you. What camera is that on your tripod? This camera. This is just a Turnigy. I don't know if you ever heard of them. It's an action cam. It's like a GoPro basically. Because I was going to use the I can answer that for you, because he is basically where they make them. So it's probably the same price for him to get, say, 30 than it is for someone in the UK. Yeah, exactly. It basically costs the same to keep getting them. I had thought about getting some PCBs, but as I've got some LED strips, that's kind of what I'd planned to use. Yeah, but not only has he got see it's Smurfing. Not only has he got 30 in one size, he's probably got 30 in the other as well. Yeah, Smurf should be good. It's I've actually got a thing on my phone. It is 47 days away. Yeah, there you go. I've got some for V0, Trident, and now 2.4. So he's got you covered. Shit, I have to book a flight and a hotel. I have a lot to do in the next 47 days. So I know Adam's probably not going to go into detail. I know he's got something that he's going to be doing at Smurf, but are you doing like some group creator thing as well? So I know E3D put that tweet out the other day. The only thing I've still to book is the way to get there, the transport to there, because I'm not going to drive. I've decided I'm going to get a train, I think. I got the ticket and the hotel booked. I am waiting on 4 signatures, flight booking form. Okay, read that again. I am For a booking form from my work, my dean is taking ages to sign it off before he goes up to the next level, and that is booked. Advantage is they will just pay whatever price it is, so the longer they wait, the worse it is for them. We are driving Friday, hotel booked. Nice. Yeah, I just decided that I didn't want to drive because you've just got to find somewhere to park it. You're not going to use it while you're there anyway. So I guess it all depends how far away you are as well. I mean, I'm not like that far away, but quite nice taking the train sometimes and just like chilling out and just letting someone else do the travelling, do the transport. I'm driving because I will be going to Brum after for like 2 weeks, and then need a car for that. Yeah. You know, having said that, you know, things may change and I may drive, but at the moment it's not looking like I will drive. And I'm going to be, I've got the hotel from the Friday to the Monday, so. You got all your stuff booked, Adam? Or are you, yeah, so Richard also needs to pick up the guys from Cyborg who are going to be at Smurf. And I don't expect they've booked hotels yet either, have they? Adam's, yeah, I'm driving up as I'm bringing shop stock to sell too. I'll have a booth there. Nice. No, because they asked me to find recommendations. Is there like a proper floor plan for Smurf? Because I found the one that sort of has the pricing on, but not one that tells us who's at what table. There might be one on the website. I haven't really looked, I'll be honest. Um, drafted in some family to run the shop while I chat. Nice. I have one a few weeks old. Could have a look and see if there's one on the Smurf website. Actually, I did. Um, old one. I'm not sure if they've like made one public or not. If that makes sense, because there's not, doesn't appear to be one on the website. Yeah, there doesn't really appear to be one, so I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that could well be that they've not um made it public yet. Possibly because like I know when I've gone to TCT, they sometimes jiggle where people are, like right up until the last minute. So it might be that they haven't sort of finalised where everyone's going to be. But no, that should be good. I am apprehensively looking forward to it. Richard is very excited for it. Why are you so excited for it, Richard? I'm more excited to meet some of the YouTubers that I've like watched for years. I'm more interested in that than sort of like any sort of potential new products or stuff like that. Also, there's like we want to get show swag, so I know Steve's gonna have stickers. I'm hoping to get at least a couple of, and hopefully a Charlie badge. That'll be good. I'm sure there'll be filament companies there giving out samples of filament. Yeah, meat and pit was the best for sure. Yep, Steve's gonna have stickers and Charlie badges. I'm just excited for British food. Been struggling since I got back in August. My international shop I used to shut. Yeah, Steve has been coming to Smurf for, well, a while. I nearly cut that one to the right size. First time out of the country, wow. Hero's going. We have to start calling him Taylor though, now that we're actually going to meet him in person. I don't think he'll be bringing his Mando armour though, like he did for Earth. Steve's going international. Yes, I mean it's sunny today, but yeah, cold, wet, windy. We might even have snow in December. But the weather, British weather is in some ways like not very predictable. Yeah, looks like someone from the inside, but cold air. Yeah, odd weather. Yeah. How long are you in the UK for, Steve? Because I know on your streams, like, people were suggesting to go in places, but I'm not sure how long you were actually going to be here for. $10 total. Yeah. You got a little while to go other places if you want to. Landing the day before, going out the Thursday after. Nice. I've got to do all that again. But, be sure to go to the London museums and see all the stuff. I'm going to make the assumption there, Adam, that you have seen the sketch that James Acaster did on his Netflix special. Because he talks about... it's exactly what he talks about. Yeah. He's so funny. Yeah, we're expecting to keep the trip relatively simple. We'll be in Oxford area first, then heading to London Monday. Yeah. I guess you, in a way, you want to do the touristy things, but potentially also do some of the non-touristy stuff that is a bit unusual or a bit different. But I went to the Peak District at the start of the year, to a part of the Peak District called Bamford Edge, and there's a bit you can go on. It's really not... Bamford Edge is like the area of that particular bit, and there's just not hundreds, but there's loads of people up on the top of Bamford Edge, all waiting to get a photo on this one particular rock that basically juts out over the edge. And it's so funny to think that that is a tourist like attraction. It's literally just a rock in the middle of, not in the middle of nowhere, but like queuing up to take your picture on top of a rock. Search that. Oh, for context, my joke. The reason people can't, these countries can't have their stuff back yet, is because we haven't finished looking at it. Not, do I want to go there? No. You heard. Finders keepers, yeah. I'm just now thinking of like some of the other jokes from that particular part, like oven glove, schmoven glove. I think the back and the top are the only panels that have 1mm foam, and the sides are 3. What about the door? Remember. So for anyone joining thinking, why am I putting 2 layers of foam tape on? It's because I believe the Fysetc panels are like 2.5mm rather than 3. So when I did the rear panel earlier, the clips that I'd already printed for 3mm panels, sort of the panel sort of didn't quite fit right, so I decided to put another layer on. So I'm just automatically putting another layer on basically, and then the panel clips, the annex panel clips fit much better. And I've had this foam tape for ages, so I thought I might as well use it. 1mm foam tape. This, so it's not the exact foam tape. Oh, their foam tape is narrower. I've just noticed that. Probably could have been. So to answer your question, I wasn't using their foam tape. Oh no. Their 1mm tape probably wouldn't have been enough anyway, to be perfectly honest. But their 3mm is like in 2 halves by the look of it. But their 1mm is not. So I used. Yeah, I'm just using what I've got basically. I'm not that bothered about. I have got some better stuff, but I didn't use it because I didn't want to. So this will go on top, and we'll just confirm that this all does fit and stick down with a couple of panel clips. yeah, I have got some 3M stuff that came with my 2.4. Let's move some of this stuff out of the way. Get a couple of these panel clips made up. Hey Matt, nice to see you. We've all been talking about Smurf, and I know you're planning to go, and you're planning to drive in your camper van and print at the same time, which will be good. So we're just going to make up these panel clips. Camper van in December. Sounds cold. Not as cold as a tent would be in December, but Matt hasn't got to worry about the hotel, he's taking it with him. Not far off it. A bit weird that the leaves the corner. Need a couple more of them. Where did I put the bag? There it is. I can do it without yeah, it's too much. There we go. Yeah, that's cool. Now plenty warm enough. I off-grid it'll bloody YouTube thing. All year round. Okay. Have you decided on what you're going to print yet, Richard? Matt? I know you were trying to decide that. I don't know if there's like a Sanjay minifig or bust or something like that. That would be pretty good. Open to suggestions. Yep. We'll have to have a think, have a look around, see if there's any cool models. These annex panel clips are really good actually. They just go on so easy. we go. I'll quickly show you the door panel clips that I've found and then not remixed as such, but sort of played around with. So again, if you look in the description, there'll be a link to my printables Voron collection, so you can find these more easily. But what this basically will do, so this is a pin in a printed part, and then it will be, so this is not necessarily in the right place, I'm just doing it to show you, and then you'll have this part that will fit and it just drops on. That's the wrong one. And so it will be like lift off. I thought it was pretty cool. And the original model basically wanted you to drill holes in your acrylic, which I didn't want to do, and it also used shorter pins, and the pins were the same length, so that you might not be able to see it very well, but these pins are slightly different lengths. So you have the longer one on the bottom, and then what that basically means is that when you come to put the panel on, you can line bottom one up, and the top one won't be on the pin yet, and then you can drop it down and get them both on easier, hopefully. We'll see, I guess. That'll be an interesting panel clip. And I've got the bottom magnetic panel clips like on the Voron already printed, so they'll be going on as well. What else should we do? I think we might call it there actually for today. See if I can work out why the chat decided it was going to log me out. But yeah, if anyone's got any questions or anyone want to start a topic for conversation, go ahead. Loads of rubbish on the floor. You do say that every week, Richard. That's appreciated. I really like the colour scheme as well. I wasn't sure, like the filament and the frame are a little slightly different colour, purple, but I think it doesn't matter too much. It still looks okay. And then the silver and purple I really like. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. I particularly like the stealth burner. It's got a little touch of glitter in as well. It just adds a little bit of extra interest to it. So yeah, I do really like it too. Still can't decide what colour way to do my salad fork. I've pretty much everything in the bomb for it now. Need to decide. So I don't think you were here when we were talking about it, but I was talking about what my next printer build is going to be. And it was actually, I don't know if Adam's still here, but someone in his Discord server posted a link to a printer for ants size. So I think it's 1515 extrusion switch wire. So I might do a baby switch wire. I think it looks really good. I'm sure it's the same colour scheme as my Prusa Bear. I remember your Prusa Bear, but I'm not entirely sure. I can't remember it that vividly, but did that have a purple frame as well? Let me find the as I'm talking about it, let me find the link for the thing. Richard's just sent me a message. Thanks for that, Richard. Where did it get put? Was it here? Yes. Which thread is called? That is what I'm talking about. Looks really good. I am excited for that. Standard fork then V24 maybe. I think I'm gonna do so. I would convert one of my probably my first V0, my V0.1 Formbot kit to the switch thread. Nice. That means I need to finish my switch so that I can get it serialized before you. I think I'm up to date on serials now. This obviously won't have one for a little while. But everything else has. I don't know if you were talking. Yeah, I'm just thinking about what Richard sent me a message about. I think I'm going to call it there. So made a little bit of progress. Sort of show you what I'd done in between things. And I'll, like I say, I'll probably do a few things, and then in the next live stream, I'll catch you up on what I've done. Where have you got the floor plan from, Matt? Because does it have is it just a floor plan of like price levels, or does it actually show where people are? If that makes sense. And if it's on Twitter, I won't be able to look at it because I've binned off my Twitter account for the moment. Because I couldn't see anything on the Smurf website. Oh, yeah, okay. Can't see the bar. Does that mean it's bring your own? I don't know. I think we might have to commandeer a bar. Eventbrite website. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that one. We were looking for like an exhibitor one earlier, but I don't think there is like a released one yet. Yeah. Right, so I think we're going to call it there. Next stream I'll update you on what I've done in between streams, and then potentially we'll have a look at CAN firmware and getting everything to talk on the CAN network. So I think that will probably be the next stream, possibly next week, maybe the week after, we'll see. Yeah, we'll just see how it goes, I think. So thank you all for coming along. Yeah, thanks for coming, and I will see you when I see you. Have a look in the description for links to thanks Steve, I'll catch you in your stream later. Check the description for links to the sponsors of this build, my printables Voron collection. For anything that I've used in the build will be in there. But other than that, I'll see you next time. Thanks, sir. See you later.